Karnataka. We are learning that Karnataka's Assembly Speaker UT Khader has suspended around 8 BJP MLAs for their rude behavior in the Legislative Assembly. They have been suspended till the end of this session is what we are learning as of now. This, of course, after disruption. Speaker UT Khader allowed the Home Minister Parmeshwar and Chief Minister also to make separate statements. But let's get in more information from Ritu, who's joining me on the phone line. Ritu, this suspension is but on expected lines. Take us through what exactly led to this suspension, what transpired on the in the well of the House, and what is next now.
Well, CNN News 18 did show how the BJP leaders, in fact, got into the well of the House and were seen throwing papers and also, in fact, tearing the bill copies as well and throwing them at the Deputy Speaker, in fact, in front of his chair as well. So therein he further was seen in directing the marshals to remove these BJP MLAs right away from the House. But however, this did not happen because BJP MLAs were very stubborn at that point in time, as they were in fact protesting in the House against the alleged transfer of the, the deployment of the IS officers during the opposition meet, which actually took place for 2 days yesterday and day before yesterday in Bengaluru. So they were protesting for this, and therein you see a later point that whole rude behavior was seen by the BJP leaders as they continued to do that. The Speaker went on to request them to actually to stop that there itself, as even later point he refused to join the House as well, and therein the protest even more escalated in the House there. And now what we are given to understand is that the Speaker UT Khader has now suspended around 8 BJP MLAs. Among them are Ashwath Narayan, an MLA from Malleshwaram, Bengaluru, Sunil Kumar, Vedavyas Kamath as well, Bharat Shetty, in fact, from Mangaluru. He's a Mangalore MLA, Ashok, who was a former revenue minister, Arga Gyanendra, who's again the former home minister of the state from the BJP, Arvind Belad as well, Dheeraj Muniraju too, and Yashpal Suvarna from the Udupi, who's an Udupi MLA in fact. So they're all now been suspended by the Speaker UT Khader, though even as he goes on to read their names, he says that he regrets to read these names. But however, the people, in fact, in the state across the nation are watching out, and that wrong information shouldn't go there out. So he regrets even as he reads their names.
Absolutely. And in fact, reports are also indicating that there is much anger even within the Congress lawmakers who've questioned the marshals also in terms of why weren't these 8 BJP MLAs taken to task when they were throwing those papers at Lamani's face.
Well, the Congress leaders, they went on to say that the marshals should actually have removed them then and there itself, as the rude behavior from their side was seen. That shouldn't have been entertained at the first place. However, though Deputy Speaker that was good part of him that he went on to request them politely, but BJP leaders did not stop there. So now UT Khader, they're singing into an action, the Speaker of the House, ensuring that the right message is sent out and all that the violation of the protocol will really not be entertained in the House as well, as they are all responsible lawmakers and they should have that responsibility to behave properly in the House, even as the crucial discussions on the various bills are taking place, as the monsoon session will be getting over in some days now. So all that should really not take place in the House, as it's a very unfortunate incident.
Ritu, thank you for bringing in all those details. In fact, I'm also joined in by Mr. Sanket Yanagi of the Congress Party. Mr. Yanagi, extremely unbecoming of 8 MLAs. Going by the visuals, it just goes on to speak volumes of the kind of unruly behavior that has been witnessed inside the Karnataka Assembly today.
This only shows the BJP's culture inside and outside the Legislative House. Even when they were in power, the members of the Legislative Assembly or the party leaders have behaved in this way only outside the Assembly and in as much as inside the Assembly. The party which was in power when Mr. Vajpayee was the Prime Minister is totally different from what the BJP is today. Today's BJP reflects nothing less than hooliganism. Today's BJP do not respect the democracy, democratic values, assemblies, etiquettes, decorum, dignity, nothing they understand. And unfortunately, they think that assembly is yet another fish market. Their behavior in the assembly should have been very respectful, and it should have been confined to the intellectual debates. But unfortunately, BJP never respected the assembly sessions, never
Sanket
allowed the
Yanagi.
intellectual debate to happen.
Right. I will also like to bring in Ashok Gowda of the BJP. Mr. Gowda, you heard what Sanket Yanagi has to say. Whether or not there's an issue that your party agrees or disagrees with, what justifies or explains this kind of hooliganism that we witnessed today inside the Assembly of Karnataka?
See, let's understand that in the previous context, there are so many debates which have been unattended. For example, the borewell bill was passed during the previous Siddaramaya's regime, that is during 2016-17. There was no debate. In fact, then the minister, Ramanath Rai, was shocked to know that the bill was passed by their own government. So, when we are debating on an issue, instead of listening to the speaker and the ruling party, listening to the opposition party and making the required amendments which will suit the people, we could have appreciated that. Whereas Rajiv Gandhi did the same thing when it came to the Panchayat Raj Act amendment during
Mr. Gowda, I am sorry to interrupt you there. What you have still not answered my question. This kind of hooliganism is uncalled for. It is unbecoming, and there is nothing that can justify. No amount of whataboutery can be brought in when there is a reason behind that suspension that's taken place today.
Apparently, see, what you are trying to say is, see, this is a hooliganism. But in a democratical system, what should an opposition do when the ruling party is not ready to listen to the people's voice? We also have a voice. And opposition, we have won 36% of the votes. 1 crore 40 lakh people have voted for BJP, and should we leave all their voices out?
Sanket Yanagi, what I'm being made to understand from what Ashok Gowda has to say is that the 8 MLAs were instigated because they were not being heard, and they perhaps felt unheard, which is what led to this. How do you react to that?
Assuming for a moment that they were not heard, or they are entitled to be heard, then there is a way to protest it. There should be a dignified way of protest, which is again their fundamental and constitutional right. And there is a way they have to adopt. If they don't know this minimum thing that they have to protest by sitting in front of them offices in a dharna, and there are so many things. You need not have to educate them unless they are highly uneducated. If they are educated, then they would have adopted this. If they are not educated, then they think that this is the only way to protest. And in my opinion, there should be some dignity and decorum of the house which should be respected by everyone, whether it is a citizen of the country or the members of the legislature.
And that perhaps justifies, then in that case, it justifies the suspension of these 8 MLAs. Ashok Gowda, do you think this suspension of the 8 MLAs is justified?
Definitely not, because this is a killing of democracy. When you suspend MLAs or MPs or anybody from their respective houses, it is a killing of democracy. Congress did the same thing in Article 356.
Mr. Gowda, I'll tell you what killing of democracy is. Killing of democracy is the kind of hooliganism that we are witnessing in the assemblies, in the state assemblies.
I will not agree. I will not agree with you. I will not agree with you because, see, we have a right to protest, and when we are protesting, in fact, the deputy speaker who was on the chair and the ruling party members should have heard us, and only then the democracy will be given the full voice. Otherwise, when we are saying that yesterday none of the members were present in the house, and today everybody comes and passes the bill. In fact, when we are saying that the APMC bill is unconstitutional, you have to listen to us, and then only after debating you have to pass. No, nothing. Even there was one HK party who was present in the bill. In fact, I was there.